first things that
the first thing will be there to discuss.
It'll be, that's right.
That's not only the main thing Irvin's going to be now what about executive privilege. Now, he hasn't indeed said yet, though, has he?
No, it's not. So there's ample time to have Dick
Well, you never talked with him and say, we talked about the executive privilege thing for years. Now, your position, I mean, of course, I know our position is very derogatories, which they will never, they probably accept. But it may give us a position that can be reasonable in the public mind.
Correct.
That's what you have in mind.
Correct.
Now, the other possibility is the one that Irvin, I think, suggested that you could have agree that the ranking, the chairman, the ranking member, could question under basically the same, under very restricted, limited areas. What we do that.
Me coming down here, say?
Basically,
I think that's a sort of, if we couldn't get to written interrogatories, that's still a serious precedent to deal with, though. If they come down here and start questioning people, I think the issues would have to be so narrowed for even that situation. And that's what will involve, a narrowing of the issues to where what information that, say, a Haldeman might have or an Ehrlichman might have, that the committee needs to be complete in its report or its investigation.
Yeah. We will say that we will have, we will expose written interrogatories under oath. Answer questions.
That's publicly. You're not withholding any information, and you're not using the shield of the privilege.
As I say, when we talk to clients, because I have raised this in treating things we have on the history, you've forgotten. I said, we'll go back and read the first chapter, 6 questions, tells all about it. But I know very, as I said, we can espionage against the nation, not against the party. FBI, who was a friend of mine, even then. So I'm sorry, I've been ordered not to cooperate, and they didn't give us one goddamn thing. I conducted that investigation. 2 stupid little committee investigators, that stupid. They were tenacious. One had been fired to the FBI. He was good. He was a drunk. And we got it done. But we broke that thing without any help. The FBI then got the evidence, which eventually, see, we got the paper, we got the all the pumpkin figures. We got all that ourselves.
Well, you know what?
The FBI did not cooperate. The Justice Department did not cooperate. The administration would not answer questions, except, of course, for cabinet officers. I mean, like Burley came down and somebody had
When the shoe is on the other foot, how they look at things, isn't it?
they did well, and as I said, the New York Times, Washington Post, and all the rest of the administration's absolutely right. They didn't. They put in terms of executive privilege, they were just against the investigation. So the real question there is now and now. You can say that having been through that, they can talk to Irvin and I feel it. I think that was, I always felt very difficult. I felt that was wrong. Espionage against nationalities is another matter. But I think that we ought to cooperate. I'm trying to find an area of cooperation. Here it is. You see, the Baker theory is that he wants to have a big slam bang thing for a week, and then he takes interest in the whole thing will fall off, and he's right about that. But his point of having a big slam bang thing for a week is to bring all the big shots up right away. But the big shots you can bring up, you can bring up Stans. They got to put him on, and they got to put Mitchell on. But he'd like to get, of course, Haldeman and Irvin and Colson.
I understand that, Bob, and you have talked about running Stans out as sort of a stalking horse on another post.
Well, it's not my idea. It's, I guess, more or somebody.
I think it was my idea, as a matter of fact. And I think it could be one diffusing factor in the hearings. Stan would like to get his side of the story out. He is not in any serious problem ultimately. It could be rough and tumble, but Maury is ready to take it. And it would be a mini hearing, no doubt about it, but this further detracts from the other.
Mini hearing is true.
good, strong case that the donor had relinquished control over the money and constructive possession of the money was in the hands of the Finance Committee and Sears and the like, so that there's no...
How did they get my brother?
I'll tell you, that was sheer sandbagging of your brother. Here's what they did. They called him down here in Washington.
Who did?
Let's see, it was Vesco and Sears, and said that we want to talk to you about the nature of this transaction because we've had some earlier conversations with Stan. He really wasn't privy to it and didn't know much about it. He said, sure, I'll come up. And what the long and short of it was, they were asking him to find out from Stan whether they wanted cash or check. Stan just responded to your brother and said, I don't really care, whatever they want to do. And that's what he relayed back in this... he didn't understand why he was there.
Sure.
So, and he's clean as a whistler. Just no,
I know that.
That's no problem at all.
So you would start leading having stands to the talking out there?
I think it would take a lot of the teeth out of, the stardom of the people they'll try to build up to. If Stan has already gone through a hearing in another committee, obviously they'll use everything they have at that time, and it won't be a hell of a lot. It confuses the public. The public's bored with this thing already.
Yeah.
One of the things I think we did succeed in before the election.
Very clean. But I mean, let's face it on this thing, the way I analyze it, and I stay deliberately away from it, but I think I can sense what it is. The way I analyze the thing, Stans would have been horrified to do such thing. And what happened was that he honestly is hungry. He thinks what happens is that he gets weeks down the line, he'll take some of his hard-earned cash and got into silly business with it.
That's right.
That's what he really thinks.
He does, and he is a victim of circumstances, of innuendo, of false charges. He has a darn good chance of winning that libel suit he's got against Larry O'Brien. That's right.
Good. That's why Larry filed a countersuit.
That's right.
I see Ziegler was disturbed that it is that they subpoenaed newsmen. It disturbed you?
It didn't disturb me at all. No, sir. I talked to Ron at some length about it the other night, and I said, Ron, I said, first of all, you can be rest assured that the White House is not involved in that decision. It's not a criminal case. No, it's a civil deposition. No, it's a civil deposition. And it's not, we haven't reached the newsman's privilege issue yet, and that's way down the road. If for some reason they refuse to testify on some given evidence, what they're trying to establish is the fact that Edward Bennett Williams' law firm passed out an amended complaint that libel stands before it was into the court process, so it's not privileged. And the newsmen of the people can answer that question. Also, they're trying to find out how Larry O'Brien and Edward Bennett Williams made statements to the effect that this lawsuit was not really the first lawsuit they brought against the committee was not really to establish any invasion of privacy, but rather they were harassing the committee. They made this off the record to several newsmen, and we know they did this. That this was a drummed up lawsuit.
So therefore that proves also malice.
It makes the abusive process case that we have against them on a countersuit. And the lawyers made a very conscious and good decision to proceed with the suit. They were going to have this information. And it doesn't bother me that they subpoenaed 9 or 10...
Well, a hell of a lot of people
Those are both very difficult to do.
Yeah. Malice is impossible for children. Because the guy ended up into me. Reckless disregard, maybe.
Tough. That's a bad decision, Mr. President. It really is a bad decision.
What's the name of it? Remember the case, but it's a horror.
New York Times versus Sullivan, and that came out of the South in the civil rights.
About some guy that he was a police chief or something. Anyway, I remember reading at the time, and that's when we were suing life, for the hills, when life was guilty fell. We didn't win it in the Supreme Court 4-3. There were a couple of people that couldn't, no, 5 to 3.5. Basically, well, just so that executive statement is fairly understood, we must go forward on that, just so you understand. I think you better go over and get in touch with Dick and say, you keep it at your level, don't say the president. Well, I guess it's going to be me in the end, but I'd say this is the position Dick you take, period. Let's let him get out there and take it. But I don't want them to think they can deal with me. You can tell them that I took that position with Baker. So Baker's a smoothie. You try to say, well, the president didn't say this or that. He said, we look into intelligence. Dick should say, all right, they have studied it, they recommended it, the president's approved it. Right? Is that what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. I think that's absolutely on all fours. And how about our dealings with Baker under normal congressional relations vis-a-vis Timmons and Baker? Should we have Timmons dealing with
well, he objected to something that's a curious thing on that. There's a very big gap by calling him, urging and trying to influence who would be on his staff. But Jesus Christ, I don't know why he did that if he did. But if he did, I don't know why Baker would resent it. But nevertheless, I don't know how to deal with it, frankly. But yes, I just say, I got the impression that Baker didn't want to talk to anybody from Mondays.
Okay, I think that's one we'll just have to monitor, and that's one we'll have to know an awful lot about it.
So let's let Timmons know Baker that if he wants to get anybody from the White House, that I don't want him to talk to Timmons. Of course, Timmons is a party in interest here too. I don't want to talk to Colson. I want to talk to Thurman. That you're the man, and that you're available. But leave it that way. That you're available to talk to him after everything. But nobody else. How's that sound to you?
I think that sounds good.
You tell Timmons that he sees him privately and says, that's it. We're not pressing it. We don't care. We're not. Because Baker, woods are full of grief now.
I would suspect if we're going to get any insight into what that special committee is going to do, it's going to be through the Gurneys. I don't know about Weicker, where he's going to fall out on this thing.
He'll be.
Whatever
I think Weicker is aligned to Weicker and Gray. Now, Gray has got a shape up there and handle himself well, too. Think he will?
I do. I think Pat is tough. He goes up this morning, as you know. He's ready. He's very comfortable in all the decisions he's made, and I think he'll be good.
But he's close to Weicker, that's what I meant.
Yes, he is.
And so Gray
as a vehicle, yes.
One rather amusing thing about the Gray thing is that I do this become a custom to say Gray is a political crony and personal crony of the president. Did you know that I have never seen him socially?
Is that correct? No, I didn't.
I think he made a couple of White House of them. But I've never seen that.
Well, the press has got him meeting you at a social function and going up in there back in 47, I think, something I've read.
Maybe Radford had a party or something. Something like that. That's all. Well, I don't know. Gray is somebody that I know only as he was Radford's assistant. Used to attend NSC meetings. Sorry, man. He's never been sort of Hector Hoover, on the other hand. I
could possibly win the suit, but lose the war for this reason. The counter-discovery in a libel action has no bounds.
I get it.
Chuck is just wide open. That's the problem there.
That's the district court in that federal court.
That's right. They can just come in and depose him on everything he's done at any point in time, and that does
Keep him out of it. Keep him out of it.
Right.
Well, it stands to be the steward. He is the steward.
He's got a good one, and he may well prevail. It may well be the divisive force of settlement of all these other suits we've got out there. You know, we've got $14 million worth of suits against us, and we've got 7 or 10 against
Christ, they all want to get together and drop.
That's what we're trying to get accomplished. They're just causing, they're causing everybody problems. And,
that's right. That's right. And they've got problems and we've got them. Now you see this Vesco thing coming on. Burns my tail. As I raised hell and Holman on this. He didn't do anything about it. Well, he just couldn't. What in the name of God became of our investigation of their financial activities? Jesus Christ, they canceled debts, they borrowed money. What the hell is that?
It's still going on, Mr. President. McGovern's stuff is in such bad shape. It's another unfortunate thing. The GAO comes in to audit us.
Yeah.
They find all the documents, so they're able to make.
That might be GAO will say that.
Well, they have now, but it gets about that much coverage in the paper. They can't even figure out what McGovern's done. The books are such a mess, but you haven't seen them say anything yet, and that's one of those things that hopefully will
bring out hearings,
bring out as to what a mess this was, and
how are you going to bring it out when you can't bring it out in these hearings?
Well, I think an independent sort of media type will bring it out. Chuck is going to be of aid when he's out there, not connected with the White House.
Yeah.
Little bits of tidbits can be dropped at Chuck. Chuck will still have his channels to put things out.
Sure. And that's what, in my view, of course, it was hard for him to leave because he loves the action and the rest. But apart from the financial part of his age and so forth, which everybody can think of, Colson can be more valuable out than him because basically he just reached the point where he was too visible.
The lightning rod.
And outside, I mean, he can start this and that to tell I'm a private citizen, I'm saying my goddamn please.
Right. That's absolutely right. I think Chuck can be of great aid in this thing, and I think he'll do it.
Now, another thing, to recap, you will talk to Simmons about the paper. Get him tied down to the extent he can. I doubt much can be done there. We must go to findings fast, so that findings knows that it's been decided and that's it. And he'll say, well, they won't take it. It's just fine. That's all right. That's what it is. Go on the derogatory thing. We should see. Your view would be not to give any further ground on that.
I'd say, you initially hold the line as far as you go if it becomes apparent that it's necessary for informational purposes. The president is not going to hide any information. You're not going to hide any information.
Yeah.
And this can be given in a sworn statement through an interrogatory. Send your questions down. They'll be answered. We won't hide the information. We won't change the nature of the ability of the president to make decisions, to operate internally and the like, because you have a political circus going.
Okay. I understand you can do that. Mullen still thinks everybody should go up and testify.
Sure.
But at least you had to talk with him. I do want you to look into the case, though.
Yes, sir, I am.
And I got a bad rap. His man. God damn it, we're getting on it.
I'm doing that. I talked to Clark yesterday. I talked to him last night again. He's on this as hot and heavy as can be. And
Does he think he's got a bad rap?
He does. He thinks he's got a bad rap. And
Maybe he has.
it's very...
I know Rule doesn't have a bad rap. That, which, Rule, when a bureaucrat takes it upon himself to go out and go way beyond the pale in terms of attacking the administration, I can't really tolerate that. He gives out the difference. Suppose a congressman or senator, one of his administrative assistants, went out and attacked one of his contributors. What the hell would he do? Fire him, right? There was several parts.
spent some years on the Hill myself, and one of the things I always noticed is the inability of the Congress to deal effectively with the executive branch because, one, they've never supplied themselves with adequate staff, never had adequate information available.
Well, now they've got huge staffs, though, compared to what we had.
Well, they've got huge staffs, true, as opposed to what they had years ago, but they're still inadequate to deal effectively.
God, don't.
No, I'm not suggesting that I reserve my observations to myself. Well, I think these hearings are going to be hot. I think they're going to be tough. I think they're going to be gory in some regards, but I'm also convinced that if everyone pulls their own oar in this thing, in all those we've got with various concerns, that we can make it through these. And minimal people be hurt, and they may even paint themselves as being such partisans and off-base that they're really damaging the institutions of government themselves. And
I frankly would say that I'd perhaps rather that they be partisan, if they get to be partisan.
We're going to hope they...
I'd rather than for them to have a facade of fairness and all the rest, and not preserve them, despite all this business about him being a great constitutional lawyer. For instance, he's got Baker, totally off the wood, and like everybody's partisan. Most of our Southern gentlemen are. They're great politicians. They're just more clever than our ordinary. Just more clever.
Well, I'm convinced that Nixon's shown that he's merely a puppet for Kennedy and this whole thing. For Kennedy, the fine hand of the Kennedys is behind this whole hearing that's going on or is forthcoming. There is no doubt about it. When they considered the resolution on the floor of the Senate, I got the record out to read it. Who asked special permission to have their staff man on the floor? Kennedy brings this man Flug out on the floor when they're debating the resolution. He's the only one that did this. It's been Kennedy's push quietly, his constant investigation, his committees using their subpoenas to get at Kalmbach and all these people. It's kept the quiet and constant pressure on the thing. I think this fellow Sam Dash, who has been selected counsel, is a Kennedy choice. I think this also is something we'll be able to quietly and slowly document. People will print it in the press, and the partisan cast of this will become much more apparent.
Yeah, I guess the Kennedy crowd is laying in the bushes waiting to make their move. It's shocking. You know, we talk about Johnson using the FBI. Your friends tell you whether what Bobby did or whatever he left, they protect us.
I haven't heard, but
Johnson believes that Bobby loved him.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Bobby was a ruthless little bastard. But the FBI does, they tell you that, Sullivan told you that the New Jersey thing, we didn't use a buck out there, just intelligence work.
Intelligence work just had agents all over the
Trying to get a doctor to say that the poor old Kansas had a tumor.
That's right.
The FBI took the money.
Well, he used H. Portis and Deke DeLynch, backed up by some other people in the Bureau that were standing ready to go out and try to talk this doctor into examining Walter Jenkins, say the man had a brain tumor. He was very ill, that's why he had erratic behavior. And this doctor wouldn't buy it.
The doctor had never examined before.
No.
They were trying to set it up.
Oh, yeah, that would have...
What other kind of activities?
Well, as I say, I haven't probed Sullivan to the depths on this because I can see, one, I want to treat at arm's length. We make sure he is safe, but he has a world of information that may be available.
But he says that what happened on the bugging thing, who told what to whom again? The bugging.
Oh, on the 68 thing, I was trying to track down the leaks. He said that the only place he could figure it coming from would be one of a couple sources he was aware of that had been somewhat discussed publicly. He said that Hoover had told Patrick Coyne about the fact that this was being done. Coyne had told Rockefeller, and Rockefeller had told Kissinger. Now, I've never run it any step beyond what Mr. Sullivan said there. Now, the other thing is that when the records were unavailable for Hoover, all this logs, Hoover tried to reconstruct this was the fact that newsmen had been, I thought he read the reference to the fact that 3 years ago, the White House had allegedly defined the story.
That's not the...
No, on the 68 incident, all I've been able to find out is what you told me that Hoover had told you, what he told Mitchell.
Yeah.
That's right. Then Kevin Phillips called Pat Buchanan the other day with a tidbit that Dick Whalen on the NSC staff had seen memorandum between the NSC and the FBI that the FBI had been instructed to put surveillance on Anna Chennault, the South Vietnamese Embassy, and the Agnew plane. Agnew plane. Now, and it said, and this note also said that Deke DeLoach was the operative FBI officer.
Well, I think DeLoach's memory now is very, very easy to imagine. He doesn't remember anything.
I talked to Mitchell about this, and Mitchell says that he's talked to DeLoach. DeLoach has in his possession, and he has let Mitchell review them, some of the files on this. But they don't go very far. They don't go very far. This is DeLoach protecting his own hide.
They are never good. It's just as well to be candid with you. Just as well. So Hoover told Coyne and told Rockefeller that newsmen are being trust.
That's right.
Why would he believe it?
I don't have the thought. This was Sullivan's story as to where the leak might have come from about this current Time magazine story, which we are stonewalling totally.
Oh, absolutely. Well, as I say, I think I am aware of that because I know. Perfectly legitimate.
Absolutely.
Perfectly legitimate.
Well, all these are national, deep in the national security.
Sure, and Henry's staff, he was just you see, after working for Muskie. So then they didn't do anything back when Henry's trying to go through. But at least I know, not because I told it, I know that he asked that it be done, and I assume that it was. Lake and Helmer, they wrote that. But attachments, they never published. Just God's material, gossip and bullshitting and remorse, you know. The academic business is a very, very unproductive thing. I always know that. At least, it's never been useful in the operation I've ever conducted. But is your view that we should try to get out that 68 story?
I think the threat of the 68 story, when Scott and the others were arguing that the committee up on the Hill broadened its mandate to include other elections, they were hinting around that something occurred in 68, 64 that should be looked at.
And Goldwater claims he was about to.
That's right. Now, I think that the threat.
Did you say that Johnson did bug Goldwater?
He didn't. Well, we don't know. I don't know if he bugged him.
He did intelligence work.
He did intelligence work up one side and down the other.
From the FBI.
From the FBI. Just up one side and down the other on Goldwater. Now, I've not had a chance to talk to the senator, and I've known the senator for 20 years. He's the first man in public life I ever met. Barry Jr. and I were roommates in school together. So I can talk to the man. I'm really going to sit down with him one day and say what
the hell?
What do you have any hard evidence? That's right. And we can go from there and possibly reconstruct some things.
Get some stuff written and so forth. I do think you've got to remember that, as you sure do, it's mainly a public relations thing anyway. What is the situation, incidentally, with regard to the sentencing of the people of 7? When the hell is that going to occur?
That's likely to occur, I would say, could occur as early as late this week, more likely sometime next week.
Why is it late?
Well, they've been in process of preparing the pre-sentence report. The judge sends out probation officers to find out everybody who knew these people, and then he'll now on a review of the bond issue. They're not even letting these people out to prepare their case for appeal.
What is the situation that's goddamn judge in court of appeals? No way that's going to change. They're going to sit there and hell freezes over. You still think Sullivan is basically reliable?
I have nothing to judge that on other. I've watched him for a number of years. I watched him when he was working with Tom Houston on domestic and
think that's great.